Hello everyone, and welcome to today's session where we'll be talking about band combinations of Landsat 8. So the reason why I'm using Landsat 8 is because first of all it's free and it can be easily found, and you can easily download it as well to your personal computer. So if you do not know how to acquire a Landsat 8 image or a Landsat image for that matter, I talk about that in my other video, Adding Raster to ArcGIS Pro. So you can have a look at that video. I'll share the link in the description below, and you can acquire your Landsat image and then you can come and combine the bands. All right. So because we are combining Landsat 8 bands, we may really want to understand what each band stands for, and that's why you can see the image here where I have the bands, their wavelengths and their resolution. All right. So the first band, which is the coastal aerosol band, is actually used to sense deep blues and violets, like the blue sky. So blue is very hard to collect from space because it's scattered easily by tiny bits of dust, water, the water in the air, and even by air molecules themselves. All right, so that's why we even have the blue sky, because of the scattering of blue. So it may be very difficult to collect the deep blues and the violets. All right, so this band is now dedicated for those. For instance, the ocean blue. So that kind of collecting those, sensing those deep blues and violets is achieved by the first band. And then the second band, the third band, and the fourth band form the RGB. This is the red, green, blue, which actually is the visible range to the human eye. And that's the color that you see. So band 5, the near infrared, this is very important for ecology because healthy plants reflect it the most. All right. So by comparing it with other bands, we get indices like NDVI, which now let us measure plant health more precisely. So the other bands, the shortwave infrared bands, are very useful for telling wet earth from dry earth, and also for geology, right, for rocks and soil. So actually just distinguishing those as well. And then we have the band 8, which is the panchromatic band or the pan band. This is sometimes used for pan sharpening because you'll realize it's the sharpest, and you can see from the resolution here it is 15 meters resolution. So in Landsat 8, this is the sharpest band. We have band 9, which is the Cirrus, and the Cirrus is mostly used to account for clouds, all right, because it's also very difficult to actually capture the to actually account for clouds. So this was specifically made for that. And then we have the thermal infrared bands, which now are used to actually account for heat. All right, they see heat, and this can also now tell the temperature of the earth, among many other uses. So I believe that is a small summary of the bands, and therefore now when I'll be talking about band combinations, it will be really easy for you to follow through. All right, so first of all, let's add our image, and out of those bands, we don't really use every band here in most combinations. So let's just add. So I've downloaded my Landsat image, and this is how it comes. All right, after extracting it, this is how it comes. So we do not use all these bands in our day-to-day combinations. We mostly use band 2 through to band 7. I'm just trying to select band 2 through to band 7. So let's just say OK. And this will now add our bands. I'll unselect this right here because it does not have a coordinate system. It's just a normal image. And then I'll zoom this to layer. And now you can see these are the bands. These are the different bands we have. We have the band 2, which, as we have discussed, is the blue band. We have the band 3, band 4 through to band 7. So without further ado, let's look at different band combinations. So the first one, and the one that of course is most common, is the natural color band. And how do we combine bands? So you just come to imagery, right? You realize that if my map is selected, then my imagery, most of the things are not activated, but as soon as I select an image, most of my functionalities are now enabled. So sorry about that. So we go to raster functions, click on raster functions, and then under data management, we want to combine bands, so we come to composite bands. All right, so this right here is what you'll use to combine bands. And as I've said, the first band that we really like to use is the natural color. And for the Landsat 8 image, you'll realize that we have the natural color as RGB, which, as I mentioned, is the bands 4, all right, bands 3 and bands 2, which are red, green and blue. All right, so let's just come and combine that here. So we have the band 4, we have the band 3, and we have the band 2. All right, so we can actually come here and combine them independently. So you can just say create a new layer, and this is now the layer with our RGB. All right, so you can actually come and play around with appearance, and you can actually increase the brightness, and this determines whether an image is lighter or darker. So we can say maybe 20. You can come and now increase the contrast, which actually determines how distinguishable features are from one another. So, and then you can come and now maybe increase the gamma as well, which determines the relationship between how an image detects light and its actual luminescence. And this combined actually increase visibility. So you can see that this is your natural color. So you can see that right, we can try to increase the contrast. So you can see that the vegetation area is green. You can see that we have some land, and you can see that for instance around here we have some these buildings. Perhaps we have some urbanization going on around this area. So it's always good to actually go through your imagery to just look at the different features that are available. All right, you can actually see that we have something that looks like a water body around here, and this is just our image. This is an image of a part of the country Kenya, of a county called Nyeri. So this is an image of that area, and we have just combined band 4, 3, 2 to actually have the true color, right? So another thing I'd like to note is you can actually combine all bands and just interchange through. So let's just come to composite bands again. So you can actually have all the bands combined together. As a matter of fact, for this demonstration, we can add the other bands that we did not have. So let's just come to, so let's add band 1, which we skipped, and then let's add band 8, band 9, band 10, band 11. So we skipped this, so let's just add them for this demonstration, for purposes of this demonstration, where I just want to combine all the bands to actually just form one layer, one single layer, and then from that layer you can play around. With the band. So let me just pull this to the top. This is true color combination, because so we can let's just rename this to natural color. So natural color, so that is our natural color combination. So talking of combining all bands, you can actually come and combine from band 1 all the way to the last band, all right? So you can actually, let me quickly combine all this. Let me add all these bands together. So we have band 7, band 8, 9, 10, and 11. All right, so you can actually combine all these bands and create a new layer, and this new layer will actually have all those bands, all right? And therefore, if you want to now you actually now want to come and assign red, the variable red, you can just come and right click and say red is band 4. So you come and say my band 4 is the red, and then you come to green and say that 3 is green, so band 3 is green, and then you can come to the blue band and say my band 2 is the blue, and you realize that now it combines to form the natural color. And of course you can always come and, as I said, you can come and increase the brightness, right, to a place where you can actually now see the image well. You can always increase the contrast as well. You just play around with it to a reasonable kind of amount where you can actually differentiate the features well, right? So you can always play around with the brightness and the contrast and the gamma. So that is another thing I really wanted to note. But for our scenario, we can actually now, in fact, let's just use this to interchange through as we discuss the different band combinations, all right? So we have the false color urban. So as I talk about band combinations, you'll realize that this is the natural color, all right? So you'll realize that in that case, because we want to actually now play around with different band combinations, every combination we form will now be a false color of its own nature. So if you want to, for instance, really analyze urban areas, the band combinations that we use a lot is band 7, band 6, and band 4. All right, so this is really used a lot for urban sections. So let's come and have a look at our urban area here, and you can see the color. All right, you can see some this is how our urban section looks like. Let me try and add another image which I believe will give us better results in terms of seeing how that urban combination looks like. All right, so let me add another data. So band 7, all right, band 6, and band 4. So we can actually add, let's add, this is data of another row. So we can actually combine those 3. And we just want to have a look at the false color urban and see how that will work for us. So if you add those, you combine those bands, so let's just zoom to layer so that we can see what you're talking about. So you can see this area here. So this is the desired result. I just added this image because I feel like it gives a better desired result for the false color for urban. So you can see that the urban section, the urban area is represented using this kind of symbology, whereas the rest of the image, you can see how the rest of our image looks like. So this is why it's a false color urban, and we can actually come here and just rename it to false color urban. All right, so that combination is the false color urban. So I'll just bring the natural color right here, so we can actually now go back to the image that we are using. All right, so let's again combine another set of bands, and the other set of bands I'd like to actually combine is the color infrared. All right, so this is for the vegetation, and you'll realize we'll use the infrared band, and I believe I explained why we use it. So band 5, all right, we have band 4, and we have band 3. So if we create a new layer, you can see that now we have the vegetation represented in red, and the darker, the healthier. So this is now the near infrared being used to show the areas with healthy vegetation. All right, so you can see that we have vegetation here, and this is now the infrared, the color infrared for vegetation use. And as I said, it's because healthy vegetation reflect color infrared the most. Another false color combination, so we can just name this color infrared, and then we can say vegetation. All right, so we have that. And then another combination is for agriculture, where you can actually use band 6, and you can use band 5 and 2. So that's why I was telling you it's very important to first of all understand what each band stands for, and that's why we began by actually analyzing what each band stands for. So you'll realize band 6 is the shortwave infrared, band 5 is the near infrared, and then band 2 we have the blue. So if you're to create a new layer, then you can see that vegetation, this is a false color combination for that can actually be used for agriculture. So you can see the areas with plants and whatnot, and yes, you can actually now analyze your image better to define the areas for agriculture. All right, so we can just call this agriculture. All right, so another band combination that you may be interested in is, for instance, one that is for atmospheric penetration. So for Landsat 8 we use band 7, 6, and 5 for the same. So we can just come here and say band 7, band 6, and band 5. All right, and then you can create a new layer, and this is now the atmospheric penetration combination. All right, penetration, and then you can actually now, and you can do this on your end as well, because you can download this image as well and try it on your end. And then so you should always note some of the changes that occur in your image. In this scenario, I'm just going to basically run through it. All right, so I'll be highlighting the ones that I feel like are very critical. So for instance, now the next one which I want to look at is land and water. So we use bands 5, 6, and 4. All right, so band 5, 6, and 4 to actually bring out land and water. All right, so if we create a new layer, so you'll realize the water region. Now you can see how clear our water is distinguished, all right? And you can actually also see how the land areas are also very well distinguished, all right? So this is the land and water this is the land and water kind of band combination. So you can actually come here and rename it to land stroke water, all right? So this is that band combination. And then we have the shortwave infrared combination as well. So this is you'll combine band 7, you'll combine it with band 5 and band 4, all right? And if we are to create this new layer, so this is the shortwave infrared combination, all right? And so there's so many band combinations depending with what you're doing. And this is just, I've just mentioned a few common ones, all right? These are the few common bands that you can actually combine. And I've just done this so that you can also explore on your own and combine different bands that you feel like can actually meet the functionalities that you require to give you best results. There's no wrong or right. It's a matter of preference, all right? And there are people who, when they want natural with atmospheric removal, they combine band 7, 5, and 3. And you can also have vegetation analysis by combining band 6, 5, and 4, which I've not actually done here, but you actually now can see the point of me doing this. So please know that we have actually looked at combining different bands separately, and we have also looked at combining all bands all together. And actually, after doing that combination, we have looked at how you can actually now come and in your image you can play around with the different bands by selecting and giving each band its component. I prefer to actually just combine the bands that I want to use, but in the case that you want to actually combine it into one image and be using it, also better for you. So you realize that each of these you can actually export the raster after finishing. I talk about that in my other video. So if you would like to export the raster after these combinations, you can have a look at my other video. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, you can like and subscribe for more content in the future. Don't forget to share, and in case of any questions, please tell me in the comment section below. Thank you so much.